my.
What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi with a brand new deck profile video. This time I'll be showing you the updates to my ice theme deck, which is no longer just penguins, but rather is a Blizzard Penguin Tech Mix. I've honestly been wanting to make this deck for a while, but until we got the release of a recent new penguin monster, I have not been able to make the build. But now I can, and now I get to show you all of its Blizzard-filled glory. Let's see where this goes. Starting off with the penguin half of the deck, we have Double Flying Penguin, basically just a generic monster that I can pull out of the deck for the sake of a couple other card effects, and it also fits the penguin theme. Triple Nightmare Penguin, though, has a very diverse, useful array of effects. When it's flipped face up, you can return a card on your opponent's side of the field to their hand. In addition, as long as it's face up on the field, all water monsters you control gain 200 attack points, which doesn't seem like a lot, but considering how fast this deck can pull these guys out, it's honestly a lot better than you might think. Now, Triple Guard Penguin is a new one, and unlike the rest of the penguin monsters, barring one other, this one happens to be a winged beast type, which means that it has access to another monster that I've actually been wanting to run in this deck for a while, but haven't been able to due to a small number of targets in the main deck to pull it out. But when you take damage from a card effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, you gain life points equal to the damage you took. Triple Great Emperor Penguin, though, is just amazing, because you can tribute it off the field to special summon any two of the other penguins. Next, we move into the Blizzard and Tech side of the deck. Starting off with the Triple Blizzard Thunderbird. You can discard a card from your hand once per turn and target two Water Winged Beast monsters, one from your graveyard and one from your hand, special summoning both and putting this back in your hand. Siren Orca is the other target for that effect, and even though I only run it at 2, it's perfectly valid. You can special summon it from your hand if you control both a fish and winged beast monster, and if you do special summon it this way, you get to change all the monsters you control to levels 3, 4, or 5 simultaneously at the same time. Now, you can only use water monster effects the turn you do this, but considering all the monsters in this deck are water, it doesn't matter. Escher the Frost Vassal, on the other hand, is okay. He special summons himself when your opponent controls 2 spell traps, which means he's good back row bait, I guess. But more often than not, he's just there to be an extra Xyz target or a tribute for other card effects. Now, Silent Angler, I was not lucky enough to pull 3. I was only able to pull 1, but I can get more later. You can special summon it from your hand if you control a water monster, but you cannot special summon other monsters from your hand for the rest of the turn. Next, we move into the spell lineup, starting off with the Double Dark Hole, which is definitely going to be going into each of my decks from now on, because it is too good. Triple Instant Fusion, which special summons any fusion monster level 5 or lower from your extra deck. Now, I actually have 3 targets that I can use on this card, so it's perfectly valid at 3. Double MST, debating on Twin Twisters, but for right now MST is better because the cards are more valuable in my hand than the graveyard. Triple Salvage, though, because I love bringing back all those low-attacking little water monsters that I'm sure you saw. Triple Transmodify. This is mainly to change all the Aqua monsters that I run in this deck from the level 4 versions into, well, basically Great Emperor Penguin, but I will sometimes use it to pull out a Siren Orca just for kicks. And Triple Unexpected Die. If you control no monsters, you can special summon a level 4 or lower normal monster from your deck, which means it's exclusively used for Flying Penguin. And finishing up with the trap cards, I'm still sticking to the minimal Bottomless Trap Hole, staple in all my decks, and Solemn Warning staple in pretty much everyone's deck. The new Diamond Dust trap card was looking good, but because it destroys all my monsters, it ends up hurting me more than it helps. Next, we move into the side deck, which has a nice little variety. Still running the double no penguins in the side at the very least, because I could never pass up an opportunity to bring these things out if I really ever had the chance to use their full effects. If you activate a penguin's effect, and while this card's in the graveyard, you get to special summon it from the grave, but you can only summon one of it a turn that way. And as long as it's face up, any card that's returned from the field to the hand by the effect of a penguin monster banishes it instead. Because of the fact that I more often than not just use the penguins as a summoning mechanic rather than a returning mechanic, this card's kind of gone to the wayside, but it will never fully leave this deck if I can at all help it. I also have Triple Quakimeru Ice, who, while it has a very detrimental self-destruct effect, its discard effect is pretty good because it allows you to destroy a special summon monster. And being 1900 attack is pretty good as well. Plus, since it's Aqua, it also works on Transmodify. Now, Siren Orca, on the other hand, I do debate on putting it back and forth between 2 and 3, so I'm going to keep working with the numbers on this one until I can find a nice number that I like. Also, Brain Control is here. Taking control of an opponent's monster that can be normal summoned or set for a turn can be very helpful if you're happening to run against something like, I don't know, Kaiju or maybe Monarchs. The third MST is here, as well as Compulsory, Double Fiendish Chain, Double Memory Loss, Mirror Force, and Torrential Tribute. And finally, we finish up with the extra deck, which has a nice little mix of fusion and Xyz monsters. The fusions I choose to use are Elder Entity Norden, which is mainly just pulled by instant fusion, just like all the rest. And if it's summoned, you get to bring out a level 4 monster from your graveyard, which just means that it's perfect for the Xyz combos. Now, Rare Fish, I still don't have one yet, working on getting one right now. But it's just a level 4 fish-type monster, which is basically the same thing I can say for the Deep Sea Shark, which is a level 5 fish monster. Bear in mind that Rare Fish and Deep Sea Shark are literally just in this deck to be extra targets for the Siren Orca summon, but at the same time, both of them being level 4 and 5 means I do have flexibility with my Xyz plays. As far as my level 4 Xyz monsters, or my rank 4 Xyz monsters, I'm finally able to put in a single copy of Ice Beast Zero Fine, which requires 2 level 4 Winged Beasts, which the Guard Penguins are. Once per turn, I can detach a material, negate all the effects of face-up cards on my opponent controls, and this card gains 300 attack for each card that's face-up on the field. These effects actually apply until the next standby phase. I thought it was the end phase. This card's actually better than I thought it was. Still running 2 Hope-Woven Dragon Spider Shark, who lets you detach during the battle phase upon an attack declaration, to decrease all opponent's monsters' attack points by 1,000, and if it's sent from the field to the graveyard after being destroyed, you can special summon any other monster from the graveyard, so it's also my Monster Reborn play. Although its effect for decreasing is good in tandem with that of my Ragna Zero, who can detach a material during either player's turn, target a monster, and destroy it if its attack points are different than its originals, and then I get to draw a card. It's great recoup. I used to use it exclusively in tandem with the Snowdust Giant, who lets me detach a material during my turn, revealing any number of water monsters in my hand to put ice counters anywhere on the field, and as long as there's an ice counter on the field, all non-water monsters lose 200 attack points per counter. But given that I'm starting to see a rise of water attribute decks, I felt like this card just wasn't enough anymore, and I had to use something that also decreased attack points regardless of its attribute. That's where the Spider Shark came into play. Now moving into my rank 5 plays, we finally have the Crystal Zero, who requires 2 level 5 water monsters, and during either player's turn I can detach a material, target a face-up monster on the field, and its attack becomes halved. I also have the single copy of Freezadon, who lets you use any material on it in place of the material of another Xyz monster. So he is useful, just not on his own. I also still have the Frozen Lady Justice, who can be Xyz summoned on top of a rank 5 Xyz monster by detaching a material from it, which I honestly just don't understand the point of that. Its attack points are completely dependent on the number of materials that it has times 1,000, so at most in this deck it's only going to see 2,500 attack. Did they purposely make it that weak because its effect actually destroys all defense position monsters if you detach a material from it? That's the only reason I can think of, but honestly, I just don't think it's really that fair. Now, Full Armored Crystal Zero Lancer, however, is much more fair and much better in my opinion. You can stack it on top of a rank 5 Water Xyz monster without having to detach. It gains 500 attack for each material on it with a base of 2,200. If it would be destroyed, you can detach a material from it instead. And once per turn, you can detach a material from it, and all face-up monsters the opponent controls have their effects negated. And that is the deck. The blizzarding aspect actually gives it more Xyz combos than it had before, and much easier and more fluid with its playstyle, so I'm very happy about its increased performance. Although I had to wait so long to play the deck because Guard Penguin wasn't out yet, I am very happy that I was finally able to play it, even if I'm only going to be able to play it for a limited amount of time. I hope you guys liked this deck profile video, and if you can think of any way that I can improve this deck, please feel free to let me know. In the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.
What's the next stage?